I'm Evgeniia, a game designer and narrative designer. Before Lidenio, I was also a game designer and narrative designer. I worked on mobile games. There was a mid-core project, a PvP battler and an idler, like a tycoon idle RPG. It was a game that people made fan art for on Discord. For me, it is a very important story when your work inspires someone to be creative. It seems to me that it means the game is really, really great. I recently thought about how it seems like anxiety really helps me in my work as a designer. Because like that meme, I have seen 100 and 500 future scenarios that's called anxiety. Your job as a designer is to constantly think about how what you're creating now will affect you through several versions. And how will it perform in the middle of the game? How will it work in the late stages? And now let's come up with a bunch of possible ways how this can be used incorrectly, how it will work with other features, and you will never think everything through to the end. Searching for your own way as a game designer in the industry resonates a lot with how directors often search for their own language in cinema, because it's very difficult to measure who you are and what you can do. And what you do greatly depends on what you like, what you love.
What is the most difficult part of game development for you, and what do you enjoy the most?
What is the most difficult thing in game design? Well, first of all, it's having a jaded eye. I like the game, but there's always this nuance that you don't know to what extent your perception is influenced by the fact that you've played it about 20 times just today. That's why it's always very important to get someone else's opinion. The main thing is to watch over their shoulder as they play. If they're okay with you watching over their shoulder as they play, because there are people who worry that you're watching over their shoulder and meanwhile they can't figure out how to do something or they're doing something wrong. Very often people don't understand that if they can't figure out how to do something in the game, it's not them who can't figure it out, it's your mistake. And that's what I need to know. The beginning of development is always very difficult. There's a popular joke that the first 80 or 90% of development is not as difficult as the second 80 or 90% of development. I disagree. For me, at the end of development, it often turns out that nothing is done and you need quickly do a lot in a rush, yes. But at this stage, usually you already clearly understand what game you are making, what it is about. And basically all that's left is just to do it. But at the beginning, when you face a difficult existential choice, what are you even doing? What are you about? What do you want? This is a very demoralizing stage. What annoys me most about being a game designer is that there are 24 hours in a day. Whoever designed this system, well, bad news are, it doesn't work. The most enjoyable thing is seeing people play your game. I really love watching people play my game. And if they laugh during the process, that's just perfect. I like it when your game inspires other people to do something, starting from fan art and ending with, I don't know, maybe if someone suddenly writes fan fiction about the game. And if someone gets a tattoo, then that's really, I consider, a success. Yes, if someone gets a tattoo based on your game, it means everything is good.
How do you learn how to make games?
I had a moment when I tried to take courses, and then I went through a long and painful refund process because, in general, I don't really believe in design courses since then. I really love watching GDC developer conferences. I watch other people's development stories, and there's often a lot of cool stuff. You can directly see how a specific designer solved certain tasks on their project, because it's like a case study. And then also play this game and see how well it actually works. What this designer has created, that's really the most important thing. Usually for specific cases, you just search if you know that something is well implemented in a game. You look for whether the developer talked about how they did it. Sometimes there's a lot of interesting insights. For now, it seems like learning game design is more at the do-it-yourself level. I mean, it's much more productive if you consult with colleagues who have more experience than you. You read what other colleagues have written about similar cases. Don't hesitate to ask, find your own Obi-Wan who might understand game design better than you. Do not hesitate to go with questions to people whose opinion in game design you trust. Do not hesitate to go to experienced gamers as well. People who play games well and with quality. Talk more with people who are really passionate about this game. See how their eyes light up when they talk about it, and somehow empathetically experience this enthusiasm and understand what the appeal is for them, what the drive is for them. On an emotional level, it is very uplifting for your work process.
Do you use neural networks in your work?
Oh, AI is a great tool. I'd recommend it to everyone. The tasks that used to take me several hours now take 5 minutes. For example, a feature called Deep Research recently appeared. You say, conduct as many examples of games as possible that have this feature and some super niche case. And then you take this, go to the interface library. For example, you can find how the inventory interface was done in all games, for instance. And with such niche cases, it helps really well.
Which games do you remember the most?
First, Night in the Woods. Stronger than Night in the Woods in terms of story, only Disco Elysium moved me. But Disco Elysium, I think, is not for everyone. But Night in the Woods is such a very touching, very gentle story. Then there's Monument Valley, a puzzle with no entry barrier, which is about various spatial illusions, not quite Euclidean spaces, and also a game to rack your brain, to think with different laws of physics. That's Gorogoa, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. This is also a puzzle with very, very, very interesting spatial puzzles. I am a big fan of the game Craftomation. Before becoming a game designer, I was involved in education, including with very young children. I know how hard it is to explain very abstract things to children, and Craftomation is a game I played with a child. Not only did she really like it, but it stuck with her so deeply that the next day, when we were getting ready for kindergarten, she said, "Mom, give me a command, like take this, put it there, and go there." So she was asking me to give her commands in the same blocks, but instead of writing, just saying them out loud. That was very amusing.
What do you enjoy doing in your free time?
Throughout my life, I've had many hobbies. The latest thing I've really gotten into, become interested in, is that I now run modules. My main audience of fans as a master is my 7-year-old child and her friends. I guide them through a simplified Dungeons and Dragons. At first, they were just curious. Well, they could sit for an hour or two maybe. And recently I realized that you can take D&D, adapt it a little, and run it with Harry Potter, because I haven't found a single system that would allow running with Harry Potter. Maybe I didn't search well. It was a 6-hour sensation during which my jaw got tired just from talking to them, but the kids liked it. Recently, I remembered another game system that I used to play but didn't run. Now I would like to run it. It's Unknown Armies. And this system is undeservedly little known. I thought, what if someone finally makes an RPG, but not based on D&D, rather on Unknown Armies? And this idea stuck with me. Again, there's Disco Elysium, which is very similar to Unknown Armies in terms of the system. It's originally a role-playing system, tabletop. In my opinion, it heavily relies on Unknown Armies, and it's a fantastic system. I recommend it to everyone.